Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Football Friday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry here in Columbia. We got Teagan Brown in Myrtle Beach, Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston, and Carmine Germain on the road in Atlanta, getting ready for Clemson's game at Georgia Tech tomorrow. And it's Football Friday, which means high school football. Our game of the week here at WIS, I've got Irmo, the number 3 team in my Midlands top 10, hosting the Carolina Forest Panthers. They're coming in also undefeated. Irmo, the past 2 seasons they've combined to go 25-3, but they don't have a state championship to show for it. So that's one of their driving forces this year. They open up on the road for their first 2 games, winning at 35-28 at Oceanside Collegiate. They beat Burns 35-32. Last week, their first home game, and they put up some numbers, 42-14. They won that one. Now they go against Carolina Forest. They won at Carolina Forest last year, and now they're going to have them at W.C. Hawkins Stadium. Here's Irmo head coach Aaron Brand talking about tonight's matchup.
We went down there last year, the Conway, Myrtle Beach area, and we jumped on them pretty good. But this is a different ball team with a different agenda, I imagine, and they're coming to try to break this little win streak we got at home. So we look to have a challenge this weekend. But our guys we've been responding all year. We've been kind of facing the dragon's breath all year already. So we're battle tested early on in the season, and we look to be successful again this Friday.
Now, Aaron Brand used to work with Dutch Fork head coach Tom Knotts in Charlotte, and now he's come and he's done a really good job with Irmo. Teagan, I want to ask you, what's the outlook with Carolina Forest? I understand they've got a pretty good running back there.
Yeah, they do. One of the best in the state, Jaron Fox. You know, he's done a lot for them this year. Carolina Forest has one less game under their belt than the rest of the teams. They didn't play week 0. But you know, I think they're a physically strong team. They've got a bunch of new guys on their O-line this year, so they're still kind of trying to find that chemistry. And a couple of weeks ago when they were our game of the week, you know, I was talking to their head coach about maybe some of the games that they were looking forward to or maybe a little bit nervous about, and Irmo was one of the ones that, you know, he just said that's a great team and there's really nothing more to it. So I think this will be a really tough game for Carolina Forest, but you know, just like last year, I think they're going to thrive in region play. Last year they were undefeated in region play. They struggled in that non-region part of the season, but I mean, we'll have to see if Irmo can get it done enough this year to get that state championship they're looking for, Rick.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm really looking forward to it. And Kevin, what's your game of the week?
Yeah, here in the Low Country, we've got Beckham visiting Hanahan for our game of the night on Friday Night Lights. An interesting matchup because Beckham's a 5A squad. They're traveling over to face a 3A team in Hanahan. The Hawks have really been building up their schedule so far this season. They took on a 5A school in Wando a couple weeks ago, a 4A school in Bishop England last week, and then a 5A school in Beckham this week. It seems like this is all kind of to get them ready for region play, especially when they take on Oceanside Collegiate, a team that's won 2 straight state championships, one at the 2A level, and then last year at the 3A level. So they know that's going to be really tough. So they're kind of trying to, like I said, build up their schedule, face some tough competition so that when they play Oceanside, they'll be ready. Beckham, they started off their season with a win against Philip Simmons a couple of weeks ago, fell at home last week to St. James. So both teams really need to get back in the win column tonight.
I think it's great for our kids, to play that level of competition. I think it puts them in the fire early, and it has been. We've been in some battles and some wars. Last week, felt like we did a lot of things to kind of shoot ourselves in the foot early, dug ourselves in a hole, and then felt like we played a much better second half.
Greener, we're growing, and we're learning. We have a lot of young guys that's on our team, and we're learning the ropes of building up towards our 5A schedule. I think our defense kind of centers around our linebackers. Our linebackers are our guys. They're flowing from sideline to sideline. They give us a lot of production on defense.
So that's our game of the week tonight, Beckham at Hanahan. Also have another good one as Oceanside Collegiate takes on Ashley Ridge. That's a top 10 matchup from our top 10 rankings here for the Friday Night Lights poll in the Low Country. Teagan, what do you got tonight?
Well, we've got Loris playing host to North Myrtle Beach. The Lions are undefeated to start the year. 3 wins to their name. They're coming off a big win at South Columbus last week. They're a younger-ish team. They've got a good amount of veterans. Their quarterback is really their biggest weapon on the offense. Moon Gerald, he threw for, I believe, 244 yards last week, went 10 for 14, threw for 5 touchdowns, and then ran one in as well. When I stopped by practice yesterday, I was talking to head coach Greg Mance just about how versatile he is, and how he still doesn't have any offers yet. Him and I were just saying how surprised by that we were. They've got a couple of guys on their D-line who are really strong, a lot of bigger guys, a lot of physicality on the team. So I think they'll present more of a challenge to North Myrtle than they think they will. Coach Greg Mance said that, North Myrtle's a little bit scary to them, but at the end of the day, I think, Loris will really match up well against them. And here's head coach Greg Mance talking about their defense.
We like the defense right now. Their defense is first group's only giving up 1 score, and we like our front forward. You got Demarie Thurman and Jay Wilson, both All-State. They're returning from last year, and their bookends are Landon Connor, 4-year starter, tremendous football player, and Preston Hayes, strongest kid on the team. So those two really like their athleticism and their strength. So our front four we love. We got young linebackers, very athletic. But they got a really lot of potential up there. So they're playing extremely well right now. Their growth has been humongous in the first 3 games.
And North Myrtle Beach is 2-1 on the year. They're coming off of a win against North Brunswick. That game, again, happening tonight, Loris, North Myrtle Beach. We're going to take a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be back with more on the other side.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily here in the ATL for the ACC kickoff. Georgia Tech hosting 12th-ranked Clemson in a big-time game. The ACC huddle is here in Atlanta. It's basically the ESPN game day version for the ACC. So, as we know, it's a huge matchup, and as you guys, I'm sure, know as well, Clemson has beaten Georgia Tech 10 times in a row. They haven't lost to the Yellow Jackets or been stung by them, so to speak, since 2014. But it's kind of strange because it's the first time that third-year starting quarterback, Cade Klubnik, will have visited here to Bobby Dodd Stadium, even though, like I said, it's his 3rd year as the starter. It's going to be a whiteout here for Georgia Tech. This game is probably their biggest home game, next to only their rivalry to finish the season hosting the Dogs from Georgia. But here's Clemson starting quarterback Cade Klubnik about playing this season with a target on their back, including a big-time atmosphere coming tomorrow from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I wouldn't want any other way. I think that's why I came to Clemson for sure, is to have that. So I love it, and they're a respected program, and I'm excited. I love road games. I'm excited to go have our first road game and go, into somebody else's territory. So it'll be awesome. I've heard that their atmosphere is great, and definitely excited to head out there.
Another big storyline, of course, is all ACC wide receiver Antonio Williams from Rick's territory in Irmo, South Carolina. He was all-conference last season. In fact, he led the conference in receiving touchdowns with 11 last season. But he's only played 1 series all year, and then he went out with a hamstring injury in the top 10 matchup against LSU. Didn't play at all. He was inactive against Troy. Right now, at our time of recording, he's officially listed as questionable for Clemson football to get on the field. But Tyler Brown, the Greenville native, has done a great job filling in for Antonio Williams. A couple seasons ago, Tyler Brown was a freshman All-American. And here's Tyler Brown speaking about the role that he feels he plays in trying to make up some of that ground lost by Antonio Williams, and hopefully the Stars come back very soon.
I feel like having that next man up mindset, of course we miss my brother. He one of the best in the nation. I still believe that. I still stand on that, and we definitely feel that. But, at the end of the day, nobody feels sorry for us, and we got to have the next man up. So everyone's preparing like they ready to go run out there first, and that's how we prepare, and that's how we go about things. So just being able to fill those big shoes, man, just controlling what I can control at the time, and just embracing my opportunity and going out there and just doing my best as I can.
So, like I said, guys, Antonio Williams right now at the time of recording officially questionable, along with safety Khalil Barnes, who's questionable, and offensive lineman left tackle Tristan Lee questionable as well. All three of them missed the last game against Troy. We'll see if they progress toward playing tomorrow against Georgia Tech here in Atlanta. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Kevin, because as far as the betting odds, Clemson opened as a 6.5-point favorite against Georgia Tech, and so many people have bet Tech. That line has gone all the way down to just Clemson, a 2.5-point favorite at the time of recording. Do you think that it's realistic that Tech can break that 10-game losing streak, or are you surprised that so many people are picking Georgia Tech, clearly by the betting odds, to upset Clemson?
I'm really not surprised because as the week has gone on, you know, we haven't heard anything good about Clemson in a while, basically since that LSU game. It was a disaster the week after that, and then they have the game against Troy, and really just no one has any confidence in Clemson anymore. So as far as the betting odds, I'm not surprised to see people going against Clemson this week and lowering that all the way to 2.5. I still like Clemson to go into Atlanta and come away with a win, but seeing people lose their faith in the Tigers the way they performed in these first two games, Rick, isn't really that surprising.
And especially when Dabo says Antonio Williams is their best player and he's banged up now. So I can see why those odds would go down because the Clemson offense, really, they haven't gotten it together yet. And with Georgia Tech having a whiteout, it reminds me of when Steve Spurrier was at Florida. They come to South Carolina. Gamecocks have a whiteout. Florida blew them out, and Coach Spurrier said, yeah, it made it easier for them to see the football, the receivers. So got to be careful for that. Now, you also have to be careful about not running your mouth too much. And I'm talking about the Vanderbilt Commodores. You know, their quarterback, Diego Pavia. He's brash. He's confident. He's been chirping ever since SEC Media Days throughout the offseason, and some of his teammates also, you know, making some, what I guess we can say disparaging remarks about the Gamecocks. And so here's we'll start with a soundbite from Pavia at SEC Media Days and a response from USC offensive lineman Boaz Stanley.
Right, obviously South Carolina is they got great talent there. I feel like we fell short of that game by a mile, and obviously they beat us. I think it was 28-7. But we're going to focus on Charleston Southern first, and then we'll get to Game 3 when we get there. But obviously they're coached by Coach Beamer, and he's a great coach too. And so we'll be super excited to go play on the road in that environment when Game 3 comes.
Oh, for sure. I play in the SEC. I mean, that's like why everyone comes here. Is it's the best conference in the nation. Like, you're trying to come in and play really good opponents. And I mean, that's like, you wouldn't want to come play somewhere where everything's easy. So that's something that obviously fires you up. We're going to play in the SEC. And
so now the Gamecocks not taking the bait. That was on Boaz Stanley from Tuesday's press conference, and several of the players were asked about Pavia's comments, and they just didn't react to it. It's like, okay, all business, but I think there'll be a good bit of trash talking out on the field at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday night. What do you think, Teagan?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a healthy part of the game. It hypes you up, but at the same time, if you run your mouth, you better have the reasons to back up whatever you're saying. So I think this will be another good battle between South Carolina and Vanderbilt. You know, we talked yesterday or the day before about who should be more concerned, South Carolina or Clemson, and I think that this week will be a really telling experience for both of the teams in terms of just what we should think about going forward for both of them. So hopefully South Carolina stands up to the challenge here, Rick.
Yeah, you're right. Boy, both Clemson and the Gamecocks playing their conference openers on the same weekend, and you want to get off to a good start in league play. You don't want to start looking up at everyone else. Kevin. Teagan.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting also that Vanderbilt had Theo Vaughn, I Show Speed at their practice yesterday, and they were even talking trash about South Carolina. So they're bringing in all kinds of people to just mess with the Gamecocks and try to give them some momentum going into this one. So something to keep an eye on there. I can just see, when Carolina goes and wins this game, the gif of I Show Speed with the Vanderbilt logo on his face, and South Carolina is Braun Breaker taking him out during the Royal Rumble. That's already pre-made in my head, so just get ready for that. Teagan, Coastal Carolina are at home this weekend against East Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of chirping, I, all over Twitter, have seen many ECU fans already commenting on a lot of Coastal stuff. Our meteorologist put out the forecast for this weekend. A bunch of Pirates fans were commenting GIFs of ECU players, tagging me in different things. So Coastal Carolina and ECU matching up for the second time in program history. The last time they played was in 2022 at the Birmingham Bowl. Coastal Carolina lost that one, so they're looking for some redemption this week. And Coastal Carolina is honestly just looking to get some momentum going in their season. They won last week 13-0 against Charleston Southern. We talked a lot about that. The slow offense, the turnovers, the interceptions for MJ Morris, just a really messy, non-product producing kind of offense last week, and then their struggles against Virginia as well. I think we're going to get way more action in this game in terms of just seeing some actual scoring from at least one of the teams. I think ECU will present a real challenge to Coastal Carolina if they have not figured out how to get their offense together, how to fix their chemistry there. Coach Tim Beck talking this week a lot about just what they need to fix. And producer Nick, do we have that soundbite from good old Tim Beck? Alrighty, let's hear from Tim Beck.
I think the number one thing is we're turning the ball over too much. We had at least 2 in the red zone. The game before, we lost points on an errant snap, self-inflicting wounds. And when you play good football teams, you're going to lose, and it could get ugly. When you play teams you're, quote, supposed to be, they're closer, and we can't do that.
Yeah, and Coach Beck did not explicitly say who their starting quarterback is going to be this week, but he kind of alluded to the fact that it could be Tad Hudson out there getting those first snaps. He kind of provided a spark to the offense at the end of last game. Of course, they've got MJ Morris, struggled last game. They also have Samari Collier, who we've only seen 1 or 2 snaps from this season, so they're still trying to figure out that as we go into Game 3 for Coastal. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily, and although I'm live in Atlanta here, we had some big news in Spartanburg, very unusual news, as Wofford College announced a change in leadership, saying that head coach of the men's basketball team, Dwight Perry, and associate head coach Tyser Anderson will no longer lead the team. And they went on to say in this very short release, I just want to get it right here, assistant coach Drew Gibson, a 2008 Wofford graduate, has been named interim head coach and will guide the program during the transition to new leadership. So nothing that it seems like they're saying that they will bring in another head coach, the transition to new leadership, although not quite clear. But a very unusual change here, so close to the start of the basketball season, if you can believe that, because we're in the midst of football season, Football Friday right now. But basketball season about only 2 months away, guys. And for a team that was just led to its first NCAA tournament since 2019 under Dwight Perry, just led to its first SoCon championship under Dwight Perry since 2019 over rival Furman, even though they had basically a 500 record during the regular season, and then they went on to win the conference championship, put up a decent fight in the NCAA tournament. Wofford was a 15 seed. They lost to 2-seed Tennessee by about 15 or so points. But, I mean, a historic year for the Wofford program. And, Kevin, we were just talking about really no further information on Dwight Perry and his potential next move after the school said that they're parting ways. We don't know what the reason is. If Coach Perry and his first assistant, Tyser Anderson, have another job lined up elsewhere. But really a lot of questions compared to the answers we have right now, Kevin.
It's a baffling move, Carmine, to do it this close to the start of the season, to do it to a coach who just led you to the NCAA tournament, which if you're a Wofford team, if you're a SoCon team, that's pretty much all you can aspire to do is get to that tournament, maybe win one game and go from there. But you know, if he has another job, I don't know why the wording was like this. The first report I saw from Field of 68 was that he was let go. So if he's taking another job, you want to say that so that your program looks like it's taking guys to the next level, even as a coach. So baffling move. Like I said, I don't understand it at all. There has to be something behind this. That you don't, if you're the president of a school, you don't just wake up the next day or on a random Friday and say, I think it's time to let this basketball coach go just 2 months before the season gets going, Rick.
Yeah, there has to be something else there. I mean, have they had a press conference? Is a press conference scheduled? Because we need some answers here. You don't take a guy who just took the team to their first NCAA tournament since 2019 and let him go this close to the start of practice for the upcoming season. Very strange indeed. All right, we're going to take a timeout and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. Before we get going, we want to give you our locks of the weekend coming up for college football on Saturday. I'm taking LSU over Florida. It's got nothing to do with the fact that our boss is an LSU fan, and I've seen him walking around the newsroom so far this afternoon. He heard me, LSU, yeah. No, he's not here. All right, never mind. I'm still taking LSU. Rick, who do you got?
Hey, I'm going to go with one of the big games in the SEC, Georgia at Tennessee. I think it's going to be a rough time on Rocky Top for the Volunteers.
I'm going to take an ACC game. I'm going to say Virginia Tech gets their first win over the season over ODU. Carmine?
And final, last but not least, guys, I'm going to go 12th ranked Clemson over Georgia Tech. I'm here in the ATL. I don't like the Clemson slander. They're getting no respect like Rodney Dangerfield. And so I think Clemson on top. But that's it for us. We will have much more all weekend long from college, pro, and high school football. We'll see you next week on Palmetto Sports Daily.